What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy.
What's a good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here. Let's talk Adonai Mitchell, right? Before we can even specifically dive into him, this whole conversation is kicked off by the fact that Garrett Wilson was put on injured reserve, right? Seems like he won't need to necessarily miss more than the 4 games, but Aaron Glenn has effectively left that up to the doctors, right? He said he's still looking to see him compete, as paraphrasing here, he's still looking to see him compete, but if he's not cleared by the docs, then it doesn't sound like there's going to be a rush plan to try to get him on the field. We understand our record. We also understand Aaron Glenn still wants to win. We should understand that if Aaron Glenn does, in fact, end up going into a year 2, you don't want to risk the future health of the most important person on your offense, not named Breece Hall. And so there wouldn't be any, if he gets shut down, I wouldn't be surprised, right? In fact, it might be something I end up celebrating, especially since you did bring in this onslaught of new young guys, between having an Adonai Mitchell, between having a John Mechie, and, maybe you start trying to call up Quentin Skinner and guys like this in order to see what you have. But the potential return, if he does come back, is looking like the Jaguars game, and then we'll see what happens as weeks go by if he does not return in time for that. But let's get back to Adonai Mitchell. Now, the perk of Garrett Wilson being out is that with Adonai Mitchell in and of itself, when you just want to talk about player profile, what it is that he's bringing to the field, 6'4", 200 plus, bringing, I believe it's like 4.3 speed to the table. This is your new age version of a Stephen Hill, just from a size, speed, looks perspective, right? He definitely passes the eye test. One of the things that I clearly seen on the field, in my opinion, during that Patriots game was going up against Christian Gonzalez. He was able to easily get to the deep parts of the field, regardless of press technique, etc. If he wasn't on his P's and Q's, he was going to have an opportunity to blow past him, right? He was giving Justin Fields comfortably 2-3 steps in order to try to drop something in the bucket. The one down the sideline early in the game that went through his hands was one of those that looked like it could have been ran for a touchdown, right? We'll talk about the hands here in a minute. The second one that I can recall was either towards halftime or sometime in the third quarter. He ran like a motion route out to the right side, and I'm pretty sure it was just broken coverage, but he was about as open as you'll see a guy get, and Justin Fields makes this man have to go over the backside shoulder, didn't place it in front of him, didn't, nothing that would have made this ball as easy to catch as it should have been, right? Even if he just kind of did a pop fly and sacrificed the yards after catch just to end up making a still significant big play, none of that happened. Now, it was still a catchable enough ball, but again, this is one of those situations that if you're Adonai Mitchell, you see what's in front of you, which is absolutely nothing for a good mile, and you're thinking, again, another home run type play here. And then there was another one that Christian Gonzalez going down the sideline. He essentially ends up hitting Christian Gonzalez in like the back of the thigh. The accuracy is going to be a huge situation, and I know it's been like a week and a half since he's arrived. You're probably still trying to get used to the playbook, even though they felt comfortable enough. And you also have effectively zero chemistry with Justin Fields. But this is something that you should be able to take advantage of, right? If I put Drake May in Justin Fields' shoes, you're probably talking about a night where Adonai Mitchell has at least 3 catches for 80-ish yards and probably a touchdown or 2, right? That's what you could argue the kind of night that Adonai Mitchell would have had. Now, obviously, he went 1 of 6, 10 yards. That one reception was at least a first down. But here's the thing. If you had nothing else to go off of, walking off the bus, you feel really good about him. Watching him play, you start to think that we drafted another Arian Smith, right? Arguably the most questionable hands on the roster right now, and I would include Arian Smith because he's at least been able to clean up some of the hand issues that we've seen between preseason, training camp, OTAs, couple game time opportunities, right? Now, there's a lot of ways to think about this, but two, you don't just give up on a guy like this after one game. Colts fans will probably tell you different, but there was also a lack of true opportunity there for him once he got buried in the depth chart. You keep feeding a guy like this. At the very least, you walk away from this game saying, hey, he made it look as easy as we've seen, at least since the absence of Garrett Wilson, to be a guy that can get open or force his way into getting open, and you don't have to scheme for him, right? The true X, as we want to call it, if you will. And if we can find a way to turn it around, if we can get to a point of comfortability with Adonai Mitchell, and by the time that Garrett Wilson does return against the Jaguars, or maybe later, hopefully you get a couple games to see these two guys together, this is something that can change the complexity of your entire offense, right? You no longer have to look for a boundary guy, a guy that can win one-on-one matchups necessarily in the offseason as your primary focus. Do you still want to try and go and get that? Absolutely. But you can go ahead and determine if you want to go all in for a quarterback now, because you feel like you have two pieces in the receiving room, and now you can just continue to try to add and build in around that. But Adonai Mitchell is a guy that I still think clearly has some juice in the tank. Younger guy, of course, but get to the jugs machine is what ultimately I'm saying here. Get that man on the jugs machine. 10 extra days to get into this playbook. If you get something extra out of John Mechie, someone to help again pull resources around from him, you feel good. But a few things I'm looking for over the next couple games while Garrett Wilson is out, with Adonai Mitchell specifically. One, does he continue to make it look easy, right? If you get him in motion and you see him get open as easy as he did, that's one thing. But to see him win, in my opinion, some of these matches against Christian Gonzalez, which many people would argue is probably a top 15-ish cornerback in the league, I feel really, really good. Two, if he does have an elite game in one of these next 3 games or so, once coverage starts getting bracketed towards him like it was with Garrett Wilson, can he become that big body, big player possession receiver threat for us, right? Can he go climb the ladder and get it? Does he just continue to be an athletic freak that just makes it a difficult time regardless of coverage because he can burn guys deep? What does that look like in terms of becoming a big body threat on the boundary for us? And then ultimately, can he end up catching these passes, right? I think that's going to be the big question mark. The piece that's going to, of course, throw a big wrench in this equation, as it does with many other players, is what is the quarterback situation going to be? Is it going to be Justin Fields, and one, his inability to throw the ball, two, his inability to actually provide decent ball placement? And if not, if it becomes Tyrod Taylor, then it's a whole new ball game. We know his affinity for wanting to throw deep. We know he throws one of the deepest or one of the prettiest deep balls in the NFL. And we know that there's going to be an understanding of the playbook and just that veteran savvy to where he's going to want to try to get the ball out of his hands, and he's not going to want to take some of these hits, and he's not necessarily going to be looking to run or scramble as much as maybe a Justin Fields would, right? And the playbook is going to be skewed a little bit because we already have had injuries with Tyrod Taylor, so I wouldn't expect there's going to really be RPOs to the same degree, which has kind of essentially been non-existent with Justin Fields anyways. But I would love for us to still pepper Adonai Mitchell with targets and see what you have, right? If you can rule out the fact that, no, there's a reason the Colts were willing, even though we insisted to throw him into the trade, or we have something here, let's continue to give him all season as well, see what we look at, but we do want to add another piece for him to compete with, and, we'll see if he steps up, can hold a rookie off, etc., etc. But let me know what you guys think, how pivotal was this Patriots game, and how you're grading this stock. And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.